Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be my non-spoilery Suicide Squad review. I'm going to do a separate video with Easter eggs later this week. So here we go. So some of you seeing this will probably have a lot of questions about some of the twists in the movie, some of the characters, the way they left things at the end of the film. So I'll try to answer some of that in as non-spoilery a way as possible at the end of this video. But just to talk about the characters, I will say, far and away, I feel like the best character to come out of this is Diablo, after that Harley Quinn and Deadshot. So naturally, a lot of the film is built around them, and I feel like that works to its benefit. But there are so many characters in this that a lot of the criticisms that you've probably been reading online of the film are mostly due to that, just trying to juggle all these characters. I felt like Jai Courtney was doing some really fun stuff in the movie, but his character, Captain Boomerang, was more of a caricature in the movie than an actual character with an arc. But most of you knowing that enchantresses in the film, they deal with some really big ideas that they haven't dealt with in the DC universe before. This is kind of like the Welcome to Magic movie, so I'm really excited about where they take it from here. Because one of the things that's different now is, because they have multiple movies in the new DC movie universe, this is connected to Batman v Superman in multiple ways with multiple different types of characters. So, without giving away spoilers, I will say yes, you will definitely spot some really awesome extended DC universe stuff happening. Magic thus far has been kind of a wild card, even with the TV shows, just the way they deal with magic. Usually it's easier to deal with traditional metahumans, and that is kind of like the blanket term that the movie uses for anybody that has powers of any kind, no matter how their powers work. So people that can use magic, they're called metahumans. People that are possessed by otherworldly spirits like Enchantress, they're called metahumans. The movie even calls Superman a metahuman. And for those of you that are really big fans of the Richard Donner Superman films, there is a Superman 2 deep-cut kind of tongue-in-cheek joke during this big Amanda Waller scene where she's briefing all these people in this meeting room. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll explain all the Easter eggs and stuff when I post my Easter egg video later this week. There was a big comic book storyline that the movie adapted. It's a little hard to rank this just because there aren't that many movies in the new DC universe, but I still say, Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight, probably my favorite DC film so far. This definitely cracks top 5. There are a couple moments where I feel like, performances weren't quite as on point as they could have been, like Enchantress. When things go over the top, they go really over the top. And I feel like, Jared Leto's performance as the Joker is going to be a big point of interest for people just because the Joker is such a big character, because he's following Heath Ledger, who is basically acknowledged as having one of the best cinematic, not just best Joker performances, but best cinematic villain performances in the last 20 years. So no matter how good you think Jared Leto is, it gets just really hard to follow that. So I definitely appreciated the actors' performances that were playing characters that have already been portrayed on screen. Like Harley Quinn. There have been a lot of Harley Quinns before, but Margot Robbie does a great job. Now, Batman aficionados will really appreciate this, but Margot Robbie said that her inspiration for the character, for the crazy, when her character goes really crazy, was actually Arlene Sorkin's performance of, the original appearance of the character in the animated series. But because that voice is so over the top, she couldn't really use it for the really serious Harley Quinn moments. There's a whole spectrum of Harley Quinn in the movie. There's Harley Quinn being really crazy, there's her being a little more serious, there's her being more earnest. So in order to make the character feel more real, a lot of the regular Harley Quinn, when Harley Quinn's at baseline, when she's not being super crazy, that performance was inspired by a lot of the females in Goodfellas, which is basically like Long Island mob housewife, which is kind of what Harley Quinn would be. Gotham City would have its own version of Long Island where she would probably try to live with the Joker. So for those that are asking about more Harley Quinn, yeah, she will definitely pop up more in the DC movies. Margot Robbie is one of the best things about this movie. Of course, I'm expecting her and the Joker to pop up in Justice League somewhere. But aside from the straight Suicide Squad sequels, they've actually talked about doing a film centered around Harley Quinn. I feel like she would benefit from her own film. She could definitely do it by herself, but any movie that she's in would have to involve the Joker. I feel like they just come as a pair. So just to be determined. DC has just said that they're working on a Harley Quinn movie, but they haven't exactly said what that's going to be. I'm just expecting something close to Gotham City Sirens, for those of you that read the comics. But other characters, Amanda Waller, probably the best villain in the movie. You probably go into this knowing that Amanda Waller is way worse than all of the worst members of the Suicide Squad. And of course, Viola Davis is so amazing. She's just like slam dunking each one of her scenes. So let's see who else. Katana's a relatively minor character. I feel like she did some interesting things in the movie, but her character isn't really fleshed out. So I would expect more of her in the next Suicide Squad movie. Killer Croc is a lot of fun. Because he is such a Batman character, there's always the possibility that he could come back during the Batman solo film. It just depends on which characters they want to include in that. But he was a lot of fun. Surprisingly funny too. Like a lot of characters get very funny moments that you wouldn't expect from them. And you definitely feel like the movie's an action comedy, much more so than say like Batman v Superman. Like they're all badasses in their own right. But in the comics, they're largely sold on their comedy. Like usually the action is always secondary to all the comedy. So my only real criticisms against the film are like their ultimate goal, like their ultimate victory is more of an emotional victory. Like the movie's all about them coming together as a team. We're more of a family with more honor than the people that we're working for, namely like Amanda Waller and Argus. So the movie did a really great job of getting that across. And like that's the most important thing. But you also have to have like the villain that you punch in the face. You have to have a clear understanding of what the villain's trying to do, like what their evil plan is, why it is they're doing what they're doing. And the movie isn't so clear about that. I'll talk a lot more about what the villain's big plan is when I get to spoilers, because it is modeled after a comic book arc, but they change a lot of things from that comic book arc, especially the way the characters work. So I can't really talk about that without getting into spoilers, but I will say, definitely a lot of fun. There will definitely be more Suicide Squad films, particularly with Deadshot, Harley Quinn, Killer Croc, and hopefully Diablo. Like Diablo has an amazing arc in this, but the really fun thing about the movie is that it leaves the characters in a relatively ambiguous way so that they could totally come back at any film anytime they want, but there's also room for you to speculate about their place in the other movies that are going to be happening in the future. So if you guys have seen the movie, let me know in the comments who's your favorite character and what do you think about the way they introduce magic into the DC universe. It's really a much bigger deal than the movie makes it out to be, and I love the way the characters in the movie, like the normal characters like Amanda Waller, the other government people, react to it. Like normally if you showed someone some magic, they would poop their pants, they would throw up, like they go crazy. But because they've already been through the drama of what happened with Superman, so a lot of the characters' reactions are really funny. But like I said, my Easter egg video will post later this week. There'll be a bunch more Marvel and DC stuff happening before then, so be sure to subscribe to get everything. Be sure and go see the movie this week. So feel free to leave any questions about the movie in the comments, but please use a spoiler tag if you're going to be super specific. While you guys wait for my next video to post, you can click here to learn more about The Flash Season 3 and Flashpoint, and you can click here for my Justice League trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.